Welcome to Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris. Every week I'll discuss a beer that maybe we've forgotten along the way while we accumulate check-ins and our badges. Some weeks I'll feature a new beer that has potential to be a classic. Being from Chicago, I'll talk about some local beers I had during the week. I'll add my spin to events of the day, and at the end of the show, I'll call out the Jagoffs of the week. This week's beer will be Rauchbier from Dovetail. That's Beer in Front, coming up now. Welcome to episode 53 of Beer in Front. How's everyone doing? This is going to be a good show. I'm going to stay away from my usual IPAs and stuff, and the beer in front this week is going to be from Dovetail, and it's their Rauchbier. So I'm excited to have this one. I'm usually not a huge fan of smoke in my beer, but this one is allegedly top-notch. Everything Dovetail puts out is great, so I'm excited to have the Rauchbier today. Later on in the show, I'm going to have an interview with Curt from the Half Hour Bros podcast, and that's a good one. You should definitely check those guys out when you get a chance. On the last couple episodes, you heard me mention that next week I'm taking off and I'm turning over the podcast to you because Ruby and I were getting our second vaccines. And actually, as luck had it, we were able to grab something yesterday. So we both have our second vaccines, but I'm still keeping next week's show where it's you run the show. Talk about your beer in front. I've got a lot of people that have submitted so far. I have about 11. I'm looking to have a few more come on in. So if you're thinking about it, please get it into me by Saturday the 27th or maybe Sunday the 28th. And next week's show is going to be all about you. You know, the good news is that both of us are feeling probably 90% after the vaccine yesterday. I know there were a lot of reports that the next day really knocked people out. Now, we both had the Pfizer vaccine, and I mean, outside of my arm feeling like Mike Tyson punched it, I'm feeling pretty good. So if you haven't had your second shot yet, you know, your mileage may vary, but we're both feeling pretty good today. In beer news, Ballast Point is permanently closing their Chicago tap room. It has been closed down for a while because of the COVID, and now they're just pulling the plug completely, which is a shame. It's only been open maybe 3 years, 4 years tops, and it's a beautiful location, nice roof deck, so hopefully someone will take that over. But you had to figure Constellation Brands, when they owned them, they had to pump in a ton of money for that location, so you have to figure somebody else is going to buy this and open up a spot there because it's a great location. And I'm waiting, and you know, somewhere there's a brewery out there that's thinking about making a shrimp cinnamon toast crunch flavored sour milkshake IPA. You know someone's going to put this nonsense out. So don't. Whatever you do, just don't. For the past year now, I've made my podcast with a company called Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, it's free. That's right, it doesn't cost you anything to make your own podcast. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your own podcast right from the computer or your own phone. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every other place. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's really easy. You'll have your podcast up and running in no time. Go to Anchor. I had some pretty good beers this week. One that I had from Rheingeist was their Bubbles. That was an interesting beer, but it was good. I would pick that one up again. I had from Dutch Bag, there's Something's Going On. This is a dark ale that I thought was really good as well. And one that I haven't had in a while, and with the shortage of 8-ounce cans, Hopewell had to put their Lil Buddy into a 16-ounce can, so I picked up a Promiscuous. It's now called Lil Big Buddy, and that's a Helles lager, and that's phenomenal. That's just a terrific beer. So if you see either the Lil Buddy or the Lil Big Buddy from Hopewell, that is excellent. Pick that one up. All right, the beer in front of me this week is from Dovetail. They're in Chicago, and this is their Rauchbier. Like I said in the intro, normally I'm not a fan of this style, but I'm trying to branch myself out a bit, not drink the same stuff all the time. So I'm going to try this. This is a smoky beer, which you would think I'd like. I love smoked meats, smoked cheeses. Hell, I smoked cigarettes for 1,000 years. So you would think I'd be a fan, but I'm not. But Dovetail is a world-class brewery, so let's give this one a try. Wow, that's smoky. It has a great color. The color is really good on this. It's not as dark as you would think. It's a nice dark brown color, but not like a stout or a porter. The aroma's got some smoke to it. I'm not going to lie. It's a smoky beer. Let's give this a taste. That's pretty good. Now, the taste of this is more subtle. The aroma of the smoke, just for me, is stronger than the taste. The taste, it's there, but it's very subtle. This is good. No, you definitely get the malt in this, so it's not just the smoke taste. No, this is I'm surprised, and I'm going to have to jump on the Rauchbier train. This is a really good beer. Let's have some more. Yeah, that's really good. I think some of the ones that I've had in the past were super strong. I remember the Alaskan Smoked Porter, which has won a ton of awards. And it was probably 7 or 8 years that I've had that, but that was almost too strong for me if I remember it correctly. But no, this is well balanced. It's subtle. This is a really good beer. This is from Dovetail. Once again, this is their Rauchbier. I would pick it up. Something that's different. If you've never had one before, give a Rauchbier a try. This is only 5.6% alcohol, so it's not overly strong. You could have a couple of these. So if you see it, or if you're not in Chicago and you happen to see a Rauchbier and you haven't tried them, give it a whirl. All right, thanks. Welcome back to Beer in Front. I'm very happy to have Curt on from the fabulous Half Hour Bros podcast. It's a great podcast. You should definitely check them out. It's funny as hell. And as the name suggests, it's roughly a half hour. So, you got a good commute. You could just pull this up, listen to these guys on the way to work. Curt, how's it going today?
What's up, man? Yeah, Half Hour Bros podcast. I appreciate you having me on. I've heard a couple of your show. We kind of cross over. We're alike in a lot of ways. I saw Beer in Front. And I said I don't know what this show's about, but I'm interested. Let's
check
go.
it out. Now I think we've roughly been doing this about the same amount of time. How long have you guys been doing the podcast? What got you into it? What made you pull the trigger? This is something we want to do.
First off, I have to tell you, when I first heard your voice, I thought you were one of the uncredited men on the SNL skit where they're in the Chicago and they're doing the Bears skit with Chris Farley and Mike Myers. You sound like you could be right there at the table next to him. It's really nice. Yeah, we started a year ago. We've been doing it for a year. We got about 53, 54 episodes in the can. Real grassroots, man. I called my brother one day. He's my actual brother. I'm 30. He's 38. And we're talking about podcasts we're listening to. And he kind of goes, we should have a show. It wouldn't, we talk all the time. We say funny shit. We rant. We get drunk. We have nice banter. He goes, we should start a podcast. And I said, okay. give me a month. I was like, just give me a month. And he came over in a month because we live right down the street from each other. And I had this like makeshift studio in my guest bedroom, and I had these two like little $40 mics and an iPad. And I'm like, this could work, So we started with that, and then now a year later we've upgraded and learned a little bit. But I love it, man. I love it. I think everybody out there that's into hobbies and finding stuff should seriously consider starting a podcast. There should be more of them.
Now, and you guys are available everywhere, right? Like Apple, Spotify, every place.
Yeah, everywhere but YouTube. That's what I always say. You can find us anywhere but YouTube. We're when we get bigger, we might move to video, but right now, just doing this shit is hard enough to maintain than having to do a video and edit it up. So everywhere but YouTube. Yeah, Apple, Spotify, Google, Podbay, Podbean. Anywhere.
Now, like you said, this is a real grassroots. Your show sounds phenomenal. You guys got like sound effects, reverb, and shit. Were any of you guys ever in radio before? Because like your show sounds like it could be like a morning radio show, very professional.
2021, I'm kind of a like a student of YouTube, I guess, and a student of failure, I guess you could say. A little bit of backstory. We grew up, our dad is basically just like us. We're like carbon copies of our dad. Sarcastic as shit, kind of witty, banter, drinking. We're real good at bullshitting and having a back and forth. And when I grew up all the time, I'd fail at so much shit, and he would always tell me, you got to keep failing. Every time he goes, when you fail, don't think of it as like a failure. Just you learn something new out of it. Just take that and try next time. So when we started the show, man, it was real kind of low budget, and we had a little bit of money to invest. And I told my brother, I said, we're only going to invest in the sound of it. I can, there's so many things I've done with getting sound effects and having to convert them over and send it through email 3 different ways and download it and kind of like, rig it up, because we're not versed in anything audio technical at all. So all this was me looking up what's the best mic under $100, and then we get $300. All right, what's the best mic under $300 that we can get? Let's buy this little thing. Let's put up some sound dampening pads. It was a real fuck it up and figure it out, if I can say that.
No, that's fine. Oh, and you got your stimulus money now. You're going to be upgrading a lot.
Funny enough, that as nice as you say the show sounds, that stimulus check is going to pay the Amazon credit card we used to make the show sound as good as it was. Because I told him, I said, look, man, I ran the numbers one day, and I was like, we need like a couple grand. We put in on an Amazon credit card, bought all the equipment we need, and then just stopped. So this stimulus money will be really good to pay that back to get the sound that we've already got.
Now, the last episode I listened to, you guys were hitting it at 8:30 in the morning drinking beer. You guys normally record that early?
No, man. So with my job, I just put in not to work Thursdays, and they don't schedule me on Thursdays. So that's the day we record it, and we release it on Friday, because there's not really much editing, if anything at all. So Thursdays, he works Monday. He's got a Monday through Friday job. He'll have to go get his kids, take care of everything, and come over at like 6 or 7 at night. So lately what he's been doing is coming over on his lunch break, and we've been recording just like right there from like 12:30 to 1, whatever. But now, man, the other morning he called, and he was like, I got a lot of stuff to do. And I was like, just come by in the morning, I guess. And he came by, and I'm just waking up, and he's handing me a damn Coastal Crush sour mimosa.
I'm like, hey, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. I'm like, these guys are hitting it at 8:30. I'm proud.
And I did drink all day. That was the problem, is once he left, I was like, oh, now I got to, pop open a bottle of wine. I'm already halfway tipsy.
Yeah, might as well. Now, what's it like? You said you're in Georgia, correct?
Correct.
What's it been like with, like the pandemic, things opening? Are you guys in like shutdown or half open? How's everything going down there?
I think this is one of the first times that usually Georgia's, Bible Belt, real strict. Everything gets passed last in Georgia. All the northern states will, and West Coast states predominantly have more progression than the southern states, just in general, in their voting and what they allow. This was really the first one to where like all the hoity-toity expensive areas shut completely down, and some of the southern states were a little bit more wide open. Like I tell people all the time when I'm talking to people from other shows across the country, and they're like, yeah, man, we can't even, going to a damn gas station, it's so shut down, and like we can't even go here. And I'm like, oh man, some people don't even wear masks down here, even though it's required.
Yeah.
I work at a retail place, and no one even wears. They'll come in without a mask, even though the PA system tells them every 20 minutes, and there's like 9 signs. Some parts of it have been kind of shut down, but compared to other spots, like Jesus Christ, if you live in Los Angeles, I just weep for you because you can't even go check your mail without a fucking hazmat suit on.
Yeah, it's I just think it depends on where you live, things like that. Everything here,
How's it? Yeah, how's it up there?
Yeah, you need a mask, and I mean, I'm going to wear one anyway. I work with the public as well. It's not a question to me. I just don't trust half of these knuckleheads that I come in contact with, so I don't have a problem wearing the mask. Everything was like shut down last April in May, where like the only thing you could do was go to the grocery store, things like that. Now everything's open up. They just started opening up restaurants and bars again to like a 50% capacity. So, I mean, slowly but surely we're getting there. So hopefully, by the summer, things will be somewhat back to normal, knock on wood.
Yeah, and that's I'm kind of like you, man. I don't discriminate if you don't want to wear a mask. That's your right as a tax-paying citizen. But yeah, when I go out, me and my wife, we're always putting a mask on when they ask in certain situations. Just because it's in my head, I'm like, look, if that's what we have to do to get it done with, it's one of those like people just can't take their medicine anymore. That's the thing. They came out and they said, look, man, put a mask on. If everybody does it, we can end it. We still can't do that.
Yeah.
With like hundreds of thousands of people dying, you still can't get somebody. There's still some jackass out there who goes, no, I don't want to do it, just to be like different or something. Working in a grocery store has been tough through this because when the pandemic hit, we were the only place open, and it was just hell. It was overtime. I was in the grocery department at that point, and it was nuts. I was working at a store that lost money, like as a store. We were getting ready to close. And we lost money every month just because they had built new stores and in the area, and we kind of got flushed out, and we're on the deep end. They're about to shut the store down and move us all to another location. And even during the pandemic, we were turning like a huge profit just because we were the only it was just grocery stores.
You were probably making a killing. You were keeping the toilet paper and selling it out the back of the truck. You probably made a nice profit in the early part of the pandemic.
Yeah, man, the stock price jumped up. They gave us little bonuses. They gave us gift cards every once in a while. Toilet paper, dude, we partnered towards the end when it got real bad with a like corporate toilet paper, like that you would see in like a office setting, like not ones that you can buy at home, like if you go to like a therapist or something and they have like Kimberly Clark or whatever toilet paper. We were getting a bunch of that in and selling it out the front door with like barcodes on it. That's how bad it got.
Oh no, man! I'm a delicate flower. I need some 2-ply, man. I had to have my 2-ply.
Please and thank you, man. When I feel that like thin ass toilet paper, I'm like, all right, here we go. The day's downhill from here.
Yeah, it's not going to get better.
No.
Now, like my show, I always talk about having the beer in front of me. What is your go-to beer? Something that's always going to be in your fridge.
All right, I got 2 for you. I got one that's easily accessible, and I got one you kind of have to search for. My go-to is Michelob Ultra Gold.
All right.
I loved Michelob Ultras. They came out with the gold. It's kind of more wheat, or it's an organic beer, real light. The taste, I mean, just talking about it. If I had a 6-pack in front of me, I'd crack 2 just to have the second one ready. Like I love Michelob Ultra Gold. One that you kind of got to search for. It's called Coastal Crush by Stillfire, and it's a sour mimosa beer.
That's like a big difference between that and the Ultra Gold.
Yeah, it's kind of what mood are you in? Or am I kicking and drinking with like the guys, or my brother comes over? It's Michelob Ultra Gold. If it's me and my brother's just coming over, we're just chilling, or me and my wife are just chilling watching a couple movies. It's definitely Coastal Crush.
All right, I'll have to keep an eye out for that one.
It tastes kind of like that old barrel candy that was sour. It tastes like somebody took a couple pieces of that and dropped it into a mimosa.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll have to be on the lookout for that. I'll check that one out. And also another like part of my show where if somebody's just aggravated me during the week, I got to call them a jagoff. You have anyone off the top of your head that's just pissed you off and you want to call them a jagoff?
I would say I'd probably just say the government. in a certain sense. The government, whether it be Republican or Democratic, whichever way you go, everyone at some point has looked up and been like, what in the hell are these guys doing? You know, they talk about the stimulus checks and they're like, we really care about this. We want to get this out to the people. And every time it gets stopped, why? Because they fluff it with their own agenda. And, well, I want this for my foundation and I want this for – they can't – even this in the middle of a pandemic, we can't even get the powers that be, quote unquote, to sit down and just agree to pay some people out to help them financially. Even in the critical moment when everything is on the line, they still go, well, I need, you know, if there's going to be money involved, I'd like my thing to get, you know, $100 million, and I want this to get 100. Well, I would be trying to pass this for the last couple months. Let me squeeze this in if you want my vote. Those would be the biggest jackoffs to me throughout all this.
Yeah, I mean, they should have just gave people the money and then argue about all the other shit later.
Yeah, then figure out the rest. Why do you have to? The reason they tie it to our money is because they want us invested in it. They want us trying to push to get it passed so that we get it passed for reasons we want, and they sneak in all the sneaky stuff underneath.
That's our government.
That's it, man. Yeah, proud to be an American, you know.
Yeah. All right, well, Curt, I do appreciate you coming on, brother. I mean, it's been fun. I love listening to your show. Everyone, please check them out, Half Hour Bros. Once again, Curt, tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, you can look us up on Libsyn, Half Hour Bros Podcast. Type that into anywhere you stream podcast. We're at halfhourbros@gmail.com, and we're at Half Hour Bros Pod for the Twitter. We've got a Twitter contest going on. Go check out our Twitter. If you share out where you listen to us, our link tree, share it out wherever you're at. Send us the screenshot of it. We're going to pick a winner at the end of the month and send them some Half Hour Bros face mask.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, and, you know, for people, you know, listen to my show and follow me, you know, I'll definitely tweet out when the show drops with their Twitter feed so you can follow them as well. But no, by all means, Curt, I do appreciate it, brother. It's been a fun time. All right, there were a lot of them this week, so let's just get right down to it. Here are your Jagoffs of the Week. Liberal anti-vax conspiracist Naomi Wolf. Now, she's a former advisor to President Clinton and Vice President Gore. She's anti-vax, like I said. Now, she was tricked into retweeting a post from a doctor called Johnny Sims. And this doctor put a quote on top of his picture about vaccines and everything else. Well, the picture was on top of a porn star, Johnny Sims, and she didn't vet it. She just retweets it like it's gospel. Naomi, you're a jagoff. E.J. Liddell is a sophomore forward from Ohio State. Now, they lost this past weekend to Oral Roberts in the NCAA tournament. Huge upset. Ohio State was definitely favored. But after the game, these fans were just, and I'm not going to repeat them, it was racially motivated, it was sexually motivated. They were just insulting this kid, and I believe it was his Instagram account. But, you know, they were saying that they want to kill him, and kill him is F rear end and FN, and just disgusting. I can't believe that people would do this. He's an adult. He's 20 years old, but he's a young man, and it's a basketball game. They lost. It was an upset, but I just don't get people. I hate people. I really do. That why you would take this out on this 20-year-old man. So to everybody that's upset with E.J. Liddell because you lost a stupid basketball game, you're a bunch of jagoffs. Texas Governor Greg Abbott wants to blame the Biden administration and for their detention centers causing the rise in COVID cases in Texas. But, Governor, the only person you could really blame is yourself. You're the one that lifted mask mandates for your whole state. You removed your social distancing order. Your attorney general was bullying different cities to comply. Your vaccine rollout was a giant cluster. And so far, as of 2 days ago, only 11% of Texans have been fully vaccinated. So stop trying to blame other people and blame yourself. Jag off. Now, yesterday morning, Mitch McConnell went to the Senate floor just to talk about the filibuster. You know, he didn't want to talk about people getting shot, 2 mass shootings in a week. You don't want to talk about that. You're more concerned about preventing black people from voting than you are about people getting killed. Mitch, you're a jagoff. South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds. Now, he's saying that the founding fathers never intended Washington, D.C. to be a state, and that the only reason that people want it to become a state is so the left wing can pack it with their agenda. So this is from the founding fathers. The founding fathers didn't think that the Dakotas should be a state. The founding fathers didn't think that black people were humans, much less eligible to vote. Mikey, you're a jagoff. Now, Washington, D.C. has roughly 700,000 residents. They have limited representation in the House of Representatives, no one in the Senate. But now the people in Washington, D.C. pay more per capita in taxes than any state. They fight in our wars. If there were war, they could be drafted to go to war. And they have a larger population than Wyoming and Vermont. Now, Wyoming and Vermont have 2 senators each. So why shouldn't Washington, D.C.? I think I know the answer. Representative Jody Hice of Georgia, he said that D.C. should not be a state because it doesn't have car dealerships, landfills, or airports. That makes all the sense to me, Jody. That's why it shouldn't be a state. But they actually do have car dealerships, so you're just a jagoff. Oh, but the real jagoff this week is longtime jagoff Raphael Ted Cruz. Now, he said during the gun hearing this week, after there were 2 mass shootings in the past 7 days. It's weird. For the last year, there were no gun shootings. And now that everything's open up again, there's 2 in a week. I wonder what could be the reason. But back to my buddy Ted. So Ted says, quote unquote, every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater. Democrats propose taking away guns from law-abiding citizens. It makes it worse. Ted, a police officer was killed in Boulder. All right? You're not expressing sorrow for that, or maybe you've offered, thoughts and prayers, but just stop it with your fucking bullshit, Teddy. You're a jagoff. 16 people died in a hot air balloon in Lockhart, Texas, and you authored and passed federal legislation wanting improved safety rules for hot air balloons. You did this for 16 people. Hell, 16 people were killed last week in mass shootings, and you want to talk about ridiculous theater. The only ridiculous theater is coming out of your mouth, Ted. You're a jagoff. All right, that's going to wrap things up for episode 53 of Beer in Front. I do want to thank you for listening, and I also want to thank the Half Hour Bros podcast. That was a great interview. Check them out. Don't forget, next week, you are in charge of the show. So if you have a beer in front you want to talk about, please email it to me at dave@beerinfront. All right, I won't talk to you next week, but you will. See you then. Bye.